Welcome to That Generic Tech Podcast. I'm Timothy Matthews.
I'm Vinny Masidi.
And we are here to talk about technology.
Yes.
Yes, so technologies, forget about patents, forget all that crap, because seriously, I'm fed up with it.
Yeah, we're done. We're done with that. It's
Done.
Done.
I think last episode, we kind of hit the boiling point. We started talking about the whole Google Oracle thing, and then we just said, no, we're done with this. I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Yeah.
So how are you, Vince?
I'm well. You?
I'm doing good. I can't complain. Complain. Except for that, you know what made my day? That little internet meme that you put on Facebook.
That is my favorite one.
So if you don't like us already on Facebook, you should. And just for that reason, to put that internet meme, it's a picture of a dog answering a telephone, and it's a real dog answering a telephone, super happy, and it says, "Yes, hello, yes, this is dog."
It's the best.
You show me that.
That is the best internet meme.
You showed me that in the pre-show. I just died of laughter. It was so good.
It's my favorite.
Oh, man. So this week, we're going to talk about new stuff. Stuff that actually exists. We're going to talk about cloud storage. So this week, everyone but their mother announced cloud solutions so you can store stuff. So specifically speaking, the first one would be SkyDrive. SkyDrive already existed, but they never really had a client like Dropbox, let's say, that actually, you can sync your files to your desktop or computer, and you can browse stuff and whatever.
Well, they did, but it was not that user-friendly.
Well,
and it didn't work the same way that Dropbox worked.
It didn't count. How about that?
Yeah.
It didn't count.
It does, but it's I don't want to get into it.
Well, now it works with pretty much exactly the same thing as Dropbox. And what's cool is that there is iOS apps. There is an app for Windows 7, and there's also an app for OS 10, which is great. So now you can get pretty much Dropbox features for actually, the free version actually entails 7 gigabytes of free storage. But if you already have a SkyDrive account, you can actually do a free upgrade to 25 gigs, back to your 25 gigs that's what you originally had.
Which is pretty sweet.
It's very sweet. And what they originally, we'll talk about pricing later compared to the other guys, but SkyDrive is actually not that expensive either when we're talking about pricing. So right now, the pricing for an additional 20 gigabytes is $10 a year. So you get 40. Like if you had just the 7 gigabytes, so 27 gigabytes for $10 a year. And add an additional 50 gigabytes is $25 a year, not a month, a year. And an additional 100 gigabytes is $50 a year. So that's it's about roughly, let's say, $8 a month or something like that for 100 gigabytes. That's not bad. And also...
$4. 100 gigabytes.
100 gigabytes I'm talking about, like the full-out big one. What's cool is that it has version tracking, multiple folder sync, which is what we talked about, download to mobile, media streaming, file folder collaborations. There's public APIs, which means that apps can take advantage of it now. And you can also create a public file share, which means you can create links to that specific file if you really wanted to, which is really, really cool. So it makes sharing files to public people, a lot cooler.
We're actually using SkyDrive right now to sync our OneNote.
Yeah, so we're using OneNote, and I'm on a Mac, but I've been using OneNote, the web application, and the web application is pretty damn good as well. Like I used OneNote on the desktop, and it's pretty close. Like it's not that bad.
Yeah.
And no, so I mean, it's what's cool is that you can also edit directly on the web interface the files with like Word, Excel, and PowerPoint and OneNote. You can open documents inside your cloud storage on the web page and modify stuff. Except you can't do that on Dropbox. Dropbox is really just a file locker. So yeah, so that was the first one. Did I miss anything, Vince, on that?
Version tracking, multiple folder sync, download to mobile, media streaming, file folder collaboration, public API, public file share. I think we've covered it.
It's fantastic. Microsoft did a very good job on this. And,
Yes.
And it syncs exactly how Dropbox did, meaning you have a folder in your computer called SkyDrive, and whatever you put in there, you can sync it or you can selectively sync, which is very important as well because sometimes you don't want to sync everything.
Actually, the selective sync I don't think is there.
Really?
Yeah,
You're right.
Selective,
it's not there.
It's not there. It's whatever is in that SkyDrive folder syncs.
Okay, I got confused with our next, with the next guy. Okay, so forget what I just said.
But I do see that coming down the line.
They have to.
This is a 1.0, right? So
right. No, that's it. So I mean, yeah, it's just that's seriously that's one of the things that kind of sucks. If you want to download the app and you want to have everything there, you can't have selective sync. Selective sync actually saves me a lot of trouble because I'm the kind of guy who puts a bunch of stuff on the cloud. And I have an SSD hard drive, so I don't want that stuff to sync because it just takes up space for no reason.
But guess what does do selective folder syncing?
What does?
Live Mesh.
Yeah. We're still talking. This thing is not dead yet?
No. Because, okay, with Live Mesh as well, you could sync certain folders, but you could also have actual remote access to your computer.
Okay.
Through it. Anyway, we're not getting into the Live Mesh. But anyway, that's you can do it, but it has to be through Live Mesh. Anyway, that's
they should really just.
Yeah, they're bound to get rid of Live Mesh. I don't think it's gonna exist anymore at all.
It was a good experiment.
And this is the point 1.0 version of SkyDrive. So I see it. I see the features of Live Mesh just going into there, and that's it. And that's how it should be.
Yeah, that's the way it should be. So that's SkyDrive, and we're going to do a little comparison, a little after. But also, the unicorn does exist. Google Drive does exist. Google announced, I think Monday, that Google Drive is real, and you can use it now. What's pretty cool about Google Drive is that it's integrated with Google Docs. So what that means is that all your actual, if you use Google Docs a lot, you can actually do offline editing on it now, which is pretty cool because you actually get the file as its original extension. So like it's called a G Sheet or a G Doc or something like that, and you have the actual file on your computer. It's not somewhere in Google land, and you have to export it.
Yeah, Google land.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's pretty much the same thing. You download a client, you can edit stuff and whatnot. And what's cool is that they have a public API, and you can pretty much like they're waiting for apps to just come in and like take advantage of the APIs. That's what their strength is right now.
So I guess they're really trying to push for third-party software vendors to get integrated with it, right?
Yeah.
Right, like right off the bat.
Yeah, because I mean they don't offer anything else new. So they're like, you can make a Photoshop app that integrates directly to Google Drive, and everything lives on Google Drive. You don't have to necessarily sync, right?
Okay.
So they're really focusing on that. But what's kind of crappy is you can't do that to me.
Yeah, they just scored. Yeah,
I totally lost my train of thought. Wow.
Yeah, since we're real Canadians and we love hockey, the Ottawa Senators are playing the New York Rangers right now. New York is up 2-1 right now. Alfredson from a power play, actually.
Oh, cool.
Alfredson, from near the blue line. Yeah.
We'll edit that out.
Yeah.
We'll edit that out.
No,
Okay.
we don't need to.
Okay. I don't know.
The world should know.
The world should know that Ottawa is still losing.
That's
But, okay. So, I mean, it's cool. It's just that they also offer some pricing, and that's what I want to start getting into. Because The Verge actually has a very good article that kind of compares everything.
Yes.
And for how much you're going to get, between how much you're paying. Well, by the way, Google Drive does come with 5 gigs of storage, which is pretty cool. Right off the bat, and it has a client for Mac, Windows, and Android. The iOS application, I haven't seen it yet. Okay. I don't know if it's out, but you know, they're trying to integrate all your whole world into into Google, so you can have fun with Google all the time. So let's start with Google with the pricing. So if we're talking about the upgrade options, for $249 a month, you can go to 25 gigs of extra storage. So that's pretty cool. So it's 30 gigs in total.
Yeah.
For $4.99 a month, you can go up to 100 gigs. For 25 gigs, it's hold on a minute. No, I already said 25 gigs. 200 gigs, sorry, is $10 a month. And there's more options. Like you could go we saw a 16 terabyte version that costs like $800 a month. But there's a 1 terabyte.
Insane.
There's a 1 terabyte option, which was pretty cool, for $50 a month, which is not terribly horrible.
Yeah, that's $600 a year.
That's $600 a year, yeah. But if you're a company,
that's good. That's good.
If you're a small company and you don't want to deal with backups and stuff like that, just put it there. There's we'll talk about it later about the question of what you actually want to put on these solutions. So so that is Google's solution. So if we're going to keep the same metric of per month cost, and Calculator Vince will do the difference between all the solutions. So
Calculator Vince, the fastest fingers in the West or East.
So, okay, let's go with Dropbox now. Dropbox was the go-to solution, and actually is the most compatible with most of the software when it comes to mobile applications. Everything just works with Dropbox. Syncing, stuff like that. It's we have Dropbox support. So Dropbox is probably the most adopted solution, but it's not the most cheap. It's not the cheapest solution. So with the free account, you get 2 gigabytes free. You have version tracking, you have download to mobile, you have media streaming, file folder collaboration, public APIs, and public file share, which is a solution that they just added not that long ago. That means you can create links and publicly share them as well. Pretty much the same thing as Google Drive, except for the media streaming option. So for 2 gigs, it's free. For 50 gigs, they go $10 a month. So compare that to Google, which has a solution that is, let's say, their 25 gig solution times 2. So let's split their solution in half. So it costs about $5. Sorry, for 25 gigs extra. So $5 compared to Google, which is $2.50. So it's half. Google is half what Dropbox is right now, and 100 gigs is $20 a month.
Whoa, buddy!
Which compared to Google is $5 a month. So
wow,
Dropbox is a lot. More expensive.
Holy cow! Wait, how much? SkyDrive 100 is.
Yeah, because
$50 a year.
Yeah, we'll get the SkyDrive, but also because you have to understand for Dropbox they have per month pricing and they also have per year pricing. So you can buy it. It's cheaper if you buy it per year, like one-time fee.
Yeah.
So they have for that 100 gigs is $200 a year, but it's still
a lot.
It's still a lot more than compared to $5 a month for 100 gigs, which times up by 12 is roughly around $60.
Sorry, what was that?
5 times 12.
Oh, yes.
60, right?
5 times 12, $60.
We are good at math.
For the win.
We're stupid.
I think they're going to have to do something about those prices.
Yeah, but what they have going for them is that they have a huge install base of anyone that's actually doing this is using Dropbox, and anyone that has a mobile app that developed for Dropbox is going to stick with Dropbox, just because of that of the we were first there, but they're going to eventually have to talk about it. The Verge also talked about a bunch of other solutions which I really don't care about, like SugarSync. I really don't care about InSync. No. Don't care about that either. Log me in Cubby. I've never heard of this until today. Apple iCloud. Okay, you got us there. It's something that I do use. But for 5 gigabytes is free. They don't have a lot of features. There's no version tracking. There's no mobile folder sync. They do have download to mobile. They have media streaming, and they have a public API, which apps can connect to.
Okay, well, to be fair, it's not the same sort of solution as compared to the other ones.
Exactly.
This is like Microsoft's mesh. They kind of want to do the same thing as like syncing stuff.
And to be honest with you, you don't. It's not a file system.
No, it's pretty much like to sync settings and
it's storage for solutions. So, for example, what's good about iCloud is that if you have an iOS device, that it will back it up to the cloud.
That's good too.
Which that is what it's used for. So, but we're talking about pricing. For an additional 10 gigs is $20 a year. For an additional 20 gigs is $40 a year, and an extra 50 gigs is $100 a year. So they're the most expensive.
Yeah,
but you can back up your stuff.
That's just Apple for you.
It's for them. It's more of a how can I say this? iCloud is not meant to store stuff. It's meant to sync files in between programs, like
and your devices.
And your devices, like for example, game saves. Back up your
mail, bookmarks,
and also your iPhone,
pictures, music, right?
It's mostly for that. So, now let's talk about SkyDrive. So SkyDrive is probably the cheapest solution, to be honest with you, compared to everywhere else. They offer the most free, so it's 7 gigs. But you can also click, if you already have a SkyDrive account, like we said before, click there's a nice little button when you do manage your storage, nice little button that says upgrade to 25 gigs, and boom, you're back to 25 gigs for free.
Pretty sweet. I did it on 4 of my accounts.
So you have, what comes with it is version tracking, mobile folder sync, download to mobile, media streaming, file and folder collaboration, public API, and public file share, which is pretty damn cool. The prices are for an additional 20 gigs. So let's think about this here. For 27 gigs, right? Because the additional 20 gigs, but also if you already have the 25 free gigs, it's going to be 45 gigs in total. Okay, this is where it plays. $10 a year. So when we divide $10 a year per month pricing, it costs
83 cents. Does that make sense?
Calculator Vince failed.
I failed on that one.
12 divided by 10.
That's where's delete? There it is.
No, 10 divided by 12, sorry.
We sound like morons right now.
It's so stupid.
We sound like complete morons right now. It's $10 a year.
It's
so
$1.20.
10 divided by 12. It's 83 cents apparently.
It's 12 divided by 10. No,
No, it's
12
not.
months. 12 months.
It's 10 divided by 12.
12 months divided by $10.
Yeah.
Because you have whatever. It's $1.20. Okay, and for if you want an additional 50, so that means 75 gigs. If you have that 25 gigs for free, is for $25 a year. So if you do 12 divided by 25, 25 divided by 12 is $2.08. That makes no sense.
No, that's what it is.
Okay, it's very cheap.
It's very cheap. We just realized that SkyDrive is very cheap.
No, that.
So 50.
Yeah,
okay, $50 divided. Yeah.
Wow, that's really freaking cheap.
Is
okay,
$4 a month.
By the way, $50 a year divided by 12 months is $4.06. Wow, it's really cheap. So for 100 gigs, you pay $4 a month, and compared to Google Drive. Google Drive has what? For 100 gigs is $4.99. So you save $1 per month. You save $12 in the end.
Hooray.
But again, to understand, Google Drive is per month pricing, so sometimes that's more advantage for some people compared to SkyDrive, which you have to pay upfront.
Mm-hmm.
But that's cool. But that's the highest solution. So I mean, so far for me, what I think SkyDrive is the winner, and I might just change completely to SkyDrive because it has iPhone apps and everything else. But I won't change it completely because I'm still going to keep my Dropbox account because I'm going to use it. Like all my friends use it, and also all my apps use it as well. Like I have a diary app that syncs through Dropbox, and it's so seamless. So yeah, I mean, it's SkyDrive is getting there, and if there's more and more apps that sort of link with it and work with it, then it's going to be in a home run.
Yeah, it's looking pretty sweet.
And you know what? Or something, I'm going to play a little game with all our listeners. Okay, so it's called. We're going to actually make a poll. It's like, have you ever heard of these services? Mosey Stash. Okay. Spider Oak. All right. What else is there? AVG Livekive. I've never heard of this. This is making me know. Okay, Walla by Slassie. I've heard of because I had to deal with Lassie external hard drive and say, yeah, sync with this. But it's because I heard it. Box.net. Yes, I have heard of that. Actually, you know what? Let's talk about Box.net. They get 5 gigs free. They have version tracking, download to mobile, file and folder collaboration, public API, public file share, and they also have password protected files. Very cool. They offer 2 prices, which is an extra 25 gigs, which is $100. No, $100. Damn, $10 a month. Too many numbers. And there's a 50 gig solution, which is $20 a month, which is that cheaper than SkyDrive?
Which one?
No, it's not. It's not cheaper than SkyDrive, but it's cheaper than Google Drive. Google Drive is for 100 gigs is for no, it's not. No,
you know what? We should also mention if you scroll down all the way down when you're in the Verge.
Oh my God, that actually makes things a lot easier. Wow.
What?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I think it's worth to note that there are file size limits to what you could upload, I guess, in one shot.
Yes.
So Google Drive is good. Its file size limit is 10 gigs. SkyDrive is only 2. Walla is 100 gigs.
The file size limit?
Yeah.
Who the hell's gonna? Okay, sorry. There probably are people. Sure.
Box is only 25 megabytes. That's pretty crappy.
Well, that is crappy. Okay, if you use Box.net, stop your account now.
Yeah.
Just stop it.
And
Migrate
InSync is
everything
10
to
gigs.
like something else because seriously, you are not winning at all. And what's the other one? InSync.
InSync,
Sure.
not the boy band from the 90s there or the 2000 whatever. It's 10 gigs.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, wow, this actually has a lot more stuff. The only one that actually has a Linux client is Dropbox. Oh, because it's open source and you can compile it, whatever. Okay.
No. There's also Walla has a Linux client and Box has a Linux client. Also, InSync has a Linux client.
Oh, what's interesting to note is that none of these solutions, except for SkyDrive, has a Windows Phone client. So if you have a Windows Phone, stay with SkyDrive.
Windows Phone also has apparently a Sugar Sync and an InSync. I'm gonna check that right now because I don't believe it.
Whatever. No one cares about Sugar Sync. But
Tim hates Sugar Sync. I can't say that.
But if you have a BlackBerry, you're stuck with Dropbox. And there's also Sugar Sync and InSync. But again, if you have a you know what the perfect combination is. If you have a BlackBerry and you're using Sugar Sync.
Yeah,
that's the epitome of awesome. Yeah, probably some guy at Sugar Sync is probably gonna talk to me. He's gonna be saying, "You're an asshole.
Hey man, you suck.
You
Tim.
suck." So whatever. So that is the big news for the week. And if we talked about a lot about it, it's because it is important. And now, I don't know about you, Vince, but now cloud storage is starting to become real.
Yeah,
and
I still don't like it. It's good
because you want to know the implications are.
Yeah.
Is that let's talk about the implications of putting your stuff in the cloud because it is important to talk about. So it's cool we have all these solutions that sync everything, makes life easier. But when we make life easier, there's a rule in security: when things are easier, it's less secure. Okay, so that is a rule of thumb. So whenever you have these syncing services or whatnot, you are actually putting your information, your documents, no matter how sensitive they are, into someone else's server, whether it's Dropbox or whatever. And these are free accounts. Even if you pay for them, it's on someone else's server. So if you have confidential information, I suggest you do not put them in any of these files unless you use TrueCrypt. Or if you use TrueCrypt, that's pretty cool because it'll just sync. It's encrypted and no one else can brute force it. Well, you can try to brute force it, but if you have a really long password, and you wouldn't have a problem with that. Again, just for people who don't know, TrueCrypt is an open source application that actually creates a file container that you can put stuff in it, like a zip file, but everything that's in it is encrypted and it's password protected. So
that's cool.
That's cool.
Well, apparently, just to throw that in there, all these services that are mentioned in the Verge article do have file encryption.
They have file encryption, but again, they're encrypting it based off their algorithm, based off their private key, or public key, or one or the other,
whatever they're using.
Because it depends. Sometimes the private key's on your computer, sometimes the private key's on their server, and you're using a public key and whatever. They're still subjective to the U.S. government or somewhere else, and that's another thing too. All these companies are based off the U.S. So anyone in Canada or in international, if your laws in your country protect you from any kind of warrant against searching for data, that does not apply to the United States. So you're saving everything to the United States, in effect. So just so people know that international, it can get a little iffy.
I think my rule of thumb for a long time is going to be just don't store anything personal on the cloud. That's how I feel about cloud storage right now. Mm-hmm. Anything really important to you, keep it on your hard drive and just make sure you have a backup somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, the cloud is great and everything, but I really think that some things are not to be stored there. Not right now, at least. When your information is out on the cloud, that means that it could be accessible to anyone who wants to get it. That's all I'm going to say.
When you put something in the internet, again, a famous quote from The Social Network, that's a good movie, is the internet is not written in pencil, it's written in pen. And that pen and piece of paper can be accessible by anyone. So, I mean, whatever you put onto the cloud, it's there, it's on the internet, and no matter how much you think it's safe, it's being replicated to other servers and whatnot, and even if you delete it, it may not be actually deleted. So that's one thing, and especially true. It was true for social networks. It's also true for your stuff that you're syncing with your files of all these services. And also, what's very important to know is that the EULAs actually do play a big part in these services. Like, a lot of people are actually getting put off by Google Drive because in their EULA, they pretty much say that, like, they have some copyright onto what you make, and they actually hold the right to use your documents as promotional material for their service. Not like they're going to publish anything, but again, because that's corporate suicide. But just giving them it could happen. So these are things to consider. So if you're a private company that's starting, or if you're a legal company, I don't think you would ever use any of these services to like share documents between people, between your coworkers, because it's not secure. No matter how much you try to make it secure, it's not, unless you do TrueCrypt, and even at that, you're still publicly putting it on the internet. So you're never going to be 100% secure if you put stuff on the internet. That's just my rule of thumb.
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
And if I'm starting a business, I wouldn't feel 100% sure about putting stuff into the cloud. If I was starting a business today, I would actually do it the old-fashioned way. I would have 2 hard drives, let's say, in rotation, and I would back my stuff up into those 2 hard drives and keep one off-site.
Yeah, there's also some companies out there that they provide off-site backup solutions. So you might want to look into that as well if you're a small, medium, or even large business. Pretty much they use the cloud, they use the internet as just the means of transportation. So they'll come there and install a client onto your system. It'll be make sure it's fully encrypted. Ask questions when you're doing this. Always, ask what kind of encryption are you using, and all those types of, get a computer guy in there who knows this stuff, who could ask questions, because you don't want it to be unsecure and still traveling over the internet. You want it to be secure. What's good about it, though, is if they do have a client, they install it onto your system. It requires a username and password to get in. You tell it what to back up, and you could have it set up, by every night or once a day or once a month. It'll back up. It'll use the internet as a means of transportation to get to the head office of that company, and they will store the backup physically on their servers, which are, enterprise class and which are backed up every night as well. If you want to, have a good off-site backup solution, that's one of the good ways to go about it.
That's exactly it. And just to understand the difference of what Vince has said is that there's some off-site backup companies that are not part of this solutions that are just using the internet as a mean of transportation. So that's just transporting between your server and, let's say, another server. These services, they are opening up your data, even though there's authentication and whatnot, and there is some ways of you still have to hack in, but they're more susceptible to attack than compared to an offsite backup solution that just uses the internet as a means of transportation. So again, there's a difference between that. So this, like, for example, Google Drive, you go to drive.google.com, you log in, and you see all your data. Like, you see your data, and you can download your files. Anyone with username and password that has a web portal will be able to access that data. Offsite backups is more of an image base where you back up your computer and you shove it off the internet. But again, it's good that we have these solutions. It'll make some life simpler. I know for me, for transporting files, the public linking that now all these services are offering is actually going to help a lot. Especially when I have public stuff to give, it's going to be great. But this is my opinion. I would not base my company off of putting all my private documentation into a cloud service, which then can get hacked and then can get pulled off of and used for other people.
Yeah.
So, cool. So that is our cloud storage wrap-up of the week.
That was pretty much what kind of happened this week.
Let's talk a little bit more techie now.
Sure.
Okay. So we talked about all that fun Google stuff and whatnot. But let's keep talking about. Let's go back to the phones. So I gotta like this Samsung Galaxy Nexus, the Galaxy commercial.
Yeah.
Like, let's insult our potential buyers.
I love it.
You love it?
Yeah.
So it's an epic.
I wasn't expecting the sheep at the end.
It was like, okay. So it's an epic like trailer, right? They're like in a planet, and then they zoom out of the planet, and it says like, "Oh, the next phones are going to be great," and blah blah blah. And it's like, and they're going to stand out from, and then they zoom into like a farm with a bunch of sheep and a white sheep, and it says everyone else. But I mean, like,
I wasn't expecting the sheep. Honestly, it was good because I really, I saw the article and it was like, Samsung targets Apple users. I said, okay, how are they gonna do it this time? Are they gonna make fun of like baristas again? And and people who wait in line. And I was waiting for it, and then you just see a bunch of sheep. It was pretty clever. I had a good laugh.
I don't know, like, it just makes you less want to get on a Samsung phone because, like, how can I say it? It's like whatever. Like you're trying. Like right now, there are more iPhones than Samsung phones. Okay.
Yeah.
And your potential buyers, your new
Is
buyers,
there?
of course, because the iOS and iOS versus Android, it's like split right now, like almost 50-50. So that means that there's more iPhones than Samsung phones because there's different types of Android phones. There's HTCs, there's LGs, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's all kinds.
So there are more Apple phones than Samsung phones. Okay, that's rule of thumb. And when you're trying to gain, you're trying to take some of that anyway. Why? I don't understand why you would insult. What's the point of insulting potential customers?
Well, Tim, to be honest now, remember the I'm a Mac and I'm a PC commercials?
Okay, I'll tell you the difference between that and this.
Those were kind of insulting.
No, okay. There's a difference. Okay, how about this? I'm a Mac and I'm a PC ads, okay? We're not describing the people behind the actual like PC or a Mac. They're not.
I think they were.
They're not describing who a person for Mac is and who a person for PC is.
I think they were.
What they were describing was the difference between a Mac and a PC by using two different people and saying like, oh, Macs can run this and PCs can't. They're saying PCs can't. Now, the Samsung ad is saying, oh, this phone's going to stand out from everyone else, and then then they're sort of characterizing Apple iPhone users as sheep. Which means the term for sheep means you just follow the leader, and you're a dumb, stupid animal that's just
lemmings.
You know what I mean? It's like
the console wars. It's the Xbox lemmings.
I remember that.
PS3 cows.
The Nintendo is the sheep.
Nintendo is the sheep. Yeah.
So I'm always in the sheep camp.
Okay. You're always in the sheep camp.
But I just don't get it.
Jimmy the sheep.
No, but like, do you get what I'm saying? It's like one is basically about the functionality, and one is actually you're targeting the people that are actually using it. using
yeah,
the devices.
the thing of the Apple commercial is that they didn't all out go say, they didn't say the people. However, they did represent it in having the cool guy and then having the nerdy fat business guy. So it was visualized instead of visualized.
You're right. Yeah. You're right. There's that aspect.
Yeah.
But I mean, this one, like, Samsung is no stranger to insulting Apple people. Like, they had that video that was making fun of people waiting in line. I guess they're just jealous that they don't have fucking people in line.
I like Samsung now.
Whatever. So I mean,
I always like Samsung though. I always like TVs.
I like Samsung. I like Samsung. Okay.
Well, they got to do something, Tim. They got to advertise somehow.
Innovate. I don't know. Like, they're thinking about having their cloud service called S Cloud. Are you kidding me? No. Like, am I the only one who thinks that's retarded?
S Cloud. S Cloud. S Cloud. Is that how you pronounce it?
Whatever. It's stupid. Like, it's a cloud service, okay, but why do you have to call it something so similar to your direct competitor? I don't know. I don't get it. Anyway, maybe it's just me.
Yeah, it's you.
We'll see you May 3rd, which is next week, right? Bah. So I guess we'll see on May 3rd.
May 3rd is the actual Galaxy announcement?
Yep, in London.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm really curious to see how it's going to look, though, because apparently it's going to be sweet. So you know what? We're going to put, just to go back for the cloud storage thing, I'll put on the show notes a link to the Verge article that compares all of them for you guys.
Yeah, it's a good article.
And I'm obviously going to put a link for the commercial because I think it's funny as hell. Samsung commercial. Moving along to other mobile stuff. So, okay, one of the good things that came out of the Google Oracle trial. Okay. Oh, really? We're going to talk about this?
We're not going to talk about the Google Oracle trial.
Okay.
But what I do want to talk about is that what's good is that we're getting some behind-the-scenes look of how Android came to be and how Google went into the phone business, right? Because it's being presented as evidence, and evidence is public, so you can see, hey, what's up to all this evidence, right? So now all this interesting stuff is coming out, like how how the first Google phone, the prototype, was imagined in 2006. Are you looking at this right now, Vince?
I'm trying to.
The article?
For some reason, the pictures are really big. Okay, wait. Hang on a second.
Here, I'll give you another link. But
no, I got it right here. I'm good.
But this phone looks like a white BlackBerry. And it's just funny. It's like, man, there was no innovation when they were thinking about making a phone.
Oh, those are the screenshots of the actual operating system?
Okay, that's the other one. That's the other article.
Looks like BlackBerry.
Yeah, but okay, did you click the link?
It looks exactly like BlackBerry.
Okay, so which one are you looking at? Are you looking at the second article, or are you looking at the one that's from?
I'm looking at Android in early 2007.
Okay.
It looked very different than it does today.
Yeah, and then look at the other one I sent you in Skype, because this was the original Google phone presented in 2006, and this thing looks like a white BlackBerry, and it looks like garbage.
Whoa.
Yes, this was in 2006. I understand that. But in 2006, HTC was making a lot better phones looking than that. There was a lot more phones.
Palm was too.
Palm was too, making better phones than this. Okay?
Even Microsoft was making better phones than this.
Okay, so, I mean, this thing was really garbage.
It's horrendous.
I'm looking at it, and, compare this, and then compare it to the G1. And the G1 came out in 2008, right? So there's 2 years difference. So how do you go from that phone, right? And then if you just Google the G1 in images and go to...
Is it the Galaxy G1 or is it the Samsung G1?
No, it was the HTC G1.
Oh, the HTC G1.
Yeah. HTC was the first phone.
Android.
First
Okay.
Android phone, yeah. And this phone looks completely different. And it's a bigger screen and whatnot. And there's a touch screen. And to link back to the other article that you saw, there's also another article that shows how Android looked at version 1.0, or maybe even before when it was 1.0, but in early 2007. So this is when, early 2007 is when the iPhone was announced. The iPhone was announced in January 2007, and this is how it looked like when they announced the iPhone, meaning they didn't get influenced by the iPhone yet. And this operating system looks like garbage.
Looks like BlackBerry.
It looks like the BlackBerry, like the BlackBerry 4, I think. That's seriously, it looks like garbage. And what was very interesting about how all of this worked, and it actually does look 100% like BlackBerry. We'll put it in the show notes. Even the web browser was not the real web. It was just completely bad. And what also was interesting about the notes about this thing is that the touchscreen it supported touchscreens, but it's like we're always going to need physical buttons and everything.
Yeah.
And compare that to today, where the Galaxy Nexus has no buttons at all. You know, it's just you know that the people that are running the Android division is not really innovating at the level that we're supposed to expect it to come. You know, in terms of in the back end, things are cool, but in the front end, like they need to you know what they need? They need to hire like a Johnny Ive or something like that. They need to hire some guy that's actually going to say, this is how it's going to be designed. And this is how things are going to look like. Because think outside of what the norm is. Because to be honest with you, when I saw this, I was like, wow, it looks like garbage.
This is where I'm glad that Microsoft did a different job with Windows Phone.
Exactly.
And it is not a complete ripoff at all.
And I have to commend Microsoft for doing that. The Windows Phone, because they had, okay, let's backpack even before 2006. Okay, so Microsoft had a product called Windows Mobile. When Windows Mobile came out, it was completely different than what BlackBerry is. And it was, it was Windows CE, it was Pocket PC, whatever you want to call it. It was different, okay? And what they did when they were going to invent Windows Phone 7, Android came out, and also iPhone. And what they did, they could have done like, let's say, the Palm Pre, which also had kind of like an iPhone, well, not really kind of like an iPhone interface, but sort of dealt with it kind of the same way. They did something completely different. You know what? They should be commended for it. Google just does not care about that. Yeah. Like they'll do blatant rip-offs, and well, not blatant rip-offs. Okay, they did a lot of changes, but I mean, it's nothing. I mean, like to go a drastic change from like what your operating system looked like in 2007 and ship something in 2008 that looks completely different and kind of resembles what an iPhone would be. There's influence somewhere, right? Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to share that. I just wanted to put my comments towards that.
Yeah, that's no, it's it looks really bad.
Yeah,
but then again, it was in 2006 and 2007, and I guess they were trying to find their footing. I guess. Because at the time, like BlackBerry was like the best, right? They had like the best phone and operating system kind of thing.
They were.
So I guess they were trying to bank off that. iPhone came with a different approach.
A totally different approach.
And yeah, I mean, then it just took off from there. And I guess but you can't. No Android person could say that Android doesn't borrow anything from iOS. You can't say that.
Exactly.
Because it does.
Because
it does borrow stuff off
totally,
iOS.
obviously, it does. You want to know something? If people want to understand me, okay, and why I kind of hate Google sometimes, it's just that I appreciate companies that are innovative, and I will be a backer of a company that's 100% innovative. Like, for example, if I was into cell phones back in 2002, I would definitely got a BlackBerry because it was the most innovative thing on earth, and I would be a total RIM supporter. I'm a total Windows Phone supporter. I don't have one because I just don't have the means to get one. I don't need to get one. But if I were to get a new phone, it would be that because they are innovating now. Before, let's say, in the Vista times, I was not a Microsoft supporter. Now I'm more of a Microsoft supporter because they're doing something different with their stuff now. When you have companies that think outside and are pushing user interfaces or hardware or something to another level that we've never seen before, I admire those companies the most. That's my personal thing. Like, for example, in 2006, Google is making this piece of garbage. You know what Apple was doing in 2006? They were making the iPhone, which is completely different, using capacitive touch, creating a new mobile operating system, having a full web page on a mobile phone, all these things that no one was actually trying to do. And it's not a fault of BlackBerry because BlackBerry came in and did their thing when they innovated. It's just when Google came in, Google was not thinking about innovation. They were thinking about just entering the market, which I don't like.
And we have to if we're gonna go that far back and talk about innovation and all that stuff, I also think that we have to mention Palm.
Yeah, Palm was another one.
Because Palm, in my books, started it all.
Of course.
They started it all.
I agree I agree. It's a shame that they're now non-existent.
Yeah. Because the first time I saw a Palm Touch thing, I was like, "Wow, this is cool."
Yeah.
And I was like, "How much?"
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah. So respect to Palm. We have to mention them because my books, they started it all.
Exactly. And so now I just open myself up to the internet a bit more. So if you actually want to understand me and why I like certain things, is because I like where innovation goes. I will always back a company that goes for innovation than to just enter a market and just say I'm there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. I somewhat agree with you. I somewhat agree.
Well, I mean, do you have an opinion on all this, or?
Yes, I do have an opinion. Let's start with Apple, in my opinion, with Apple and what I think they truly innovated with. And that's iOS in general.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know this, but that's why I'm going to ask you, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
What the iPod was first, right?
For first in what?
First, the iPod came out first before the phone.
Yeah, the iPod brand came out in 2001.
Okay, when did iPod get iOS? After the phone or before?
The phone was the first thing about iOS.
Okay.
It wasn't even called. It was called iPhone OS, and then the iPod Touch came out in October of 2007? I have to check.
Okay, so what I think Apple innovated off of was iOS, and then you see in my books, I don't think the iPad is innovative because it's a bigger iOS. It's iOS in a bigger form factor. What's kind of innovative about it is that now that we have this tablet form factor, which everyone is now buying. So the introduction, even though tablets were done a while back, but they were not done right, they were just kind of tossed out there. It's like, here's Windows XP with touchscreen. That was not the right approach.
No.
But Apple did take the right approach into making it into a bigger form factor. So I don't think the iPad is innovative. I think it's revolutionary.
Yes, that's
as opposed to being innovative, because the true innovation, I think, was from iOS.
That makes sense. You know what? That makes 100% sense what you just said.
So Apple saw the success of iOS, they banked off it, and they put it into the iPod, and then they put it into the iPad, and now, guess what? OS X is getting more iPad-like in terms of some features that are coming to it, or are already there.
Just a little inside baseball, though. What's funny about what you just said? Okay, it makes sense from an outside perspective, but I just got to throw you a nice little curveball. They were working on the iPad first.
Were they?
Yeah, they were making a tablet computer first from the ground up. They were starting to make it in the early 2000s, and then they were they got to a point where they're like, oh man, imagine this as a phone. And then they started making the phone.
Okay, so there you have it. iOS is the true innovation, and then there's the form factors that came after.
Exactly. So, I mean,
that's where I'm okay with everything. Android, on the other hand, I don't know what to think about it too much. I think the early pictures of the phone are a complete BlackBerry ripoff. I don't know the prototype. I don't know who was making the prototype. Do they say who was making the prototype?
I have no idea. I think it was their model. They did a concept design.
Yeah.
So
even if that was vaporware, it was still butt ugly. God, I don't even were they on drugs? Anyway. So iOS, okay, but we cannot say that iOS didn't learn from Palm, and we can't say that BlackBerry didn't learn from Palm, and we can't say Android didn't learn from Palm. We can't say that Windows Phone didn't learn from Palm. They all learned from each other. iOS did it right. I think Palm did it right, but I just think they just didn't catch on. But they had the right idea.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah, so when you see Android, what Android could have done, but you also have to think about that they were developing almost at the same time. So to come out with a completely different idea was probably really, really hard for them. Microsoft already had their phone operating system, but it was like Windows XP in this of a size. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It worked, but
not really
very well.
Yeah.
So with Android, you can't say that they didn't take stuff directly from iOS. You can't say that because obviously they did. What they did is they made it look a little. I think they made it look like a little nicer, the way the background is and all that kind of flowy kind of stuff that they have going on there. The point of Android is so that each vendor could do their own thing with it, which is a hit or miss. And then you have BlackBerry that stuck with their same thing and hasn't done. They innovated in the beginning, but they stayed stagnant. Now it's kicking them in the ass. And then you have Microsoft that didn't. They stepped back and said, okay, this is what's happening. We need to come out with something fresh. I think they did come out with something fresh. It's hard to catch on when you're late to the game, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But they did do something different. I like that they're doing something different because I don't like copying either.
No.
But let's face it, everybody copies something from everybody else, no matter who you are. It's just the way it is. It's happened before. Every company does it. However, they came out with something that looks nice and fresh. That's why I like Windows 8 as well.
Yeah,
and
it's fresh. Let me tell you.
The iPad's great. iOS is great. So what Microsoft's response is, okay, well, we're going to make a tablet OS, and we're going to make it like a hybrid kind of thing, and we're not going to have we're not going to do like Android did, and just blow up their phone operating system. We're going to make one from the ground up because they could have taken Windows Windows Phone, and it was actually in Microsoft. There was an internal debate. There was a Windows Phone team that wanted it to be ported to a tablet, and then there was the Windows 8 team that wanted it to build a new OS from the ground up. Windows 8 people won, which I think is the right way to go. And I'm going to stop talking now because I could go on forever.
No, it's all good. It's our public forum. People want to listen to us, I think.
That's what I think.
That's awesome. No, but again, it's yeah. I mean, that's it. People are going to copy and whatnot, and you want to know something? I just keep hoping that people don't get discouraged and people just innovate. Anyway, it could be phones or it could be applications even. I hope that people still innovate in more ways than one. Yeah. That's more or less it. So that is the phone part of our programming.
Yep.
So that leads us to do we really want to talk about Windows 8, Microsoft to support Windows 8 to ARM tablets, enterprise management for bring your own PC scenarios?
No, whatever. It's there. They
Cool.
have some form of it, but no, that's too enterprisey. Screw it.
Screw it. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So yeah, that is it. I think we're done.
Cool.
I think
How
we're
long
done.
did we get this time?
About an hour.
Okay. We still went over.
Still
Oh,
an
we're
over.
good.
We still lose. We lose again.
We lost. We lost.
All right, so everyone, you can always contact us at tgtp1@hotmail.com. Awesome email address. You should email us all the time.
Oh, we should upgrade our storage.
Yes,
We should do that.
we should do that.
Cool.
Yeah, so tgtp1@hotmail.com. Also, like us on Facebook. We had a poll. Oh, we should talk about our poll.
Yeah,
So,
let's talk about our poll.
our poll, let me get the results here. And
I think we had like a whopping 20 people.
Hey, 20 people.
Better than 0.
Better than us two only.
Yeah, that's it.
So, I mean, the results of... oh, my God. I just saw the picture again. We're going to put it in the show notes anyway.
Hello. Yes, it's his dog. Here, internet.
We're going to...
Internet meme of the day.
Seriously. No, but the poll was pretty cool. I just want to get that poll.
So we had... Okay, I have it right here.
You have it? Oh, I see it too. Okay.
Yeah.
So we had... so in last place, Other.
Yeah.
In second to last place, Vista. In
Yes.
third to last place, OS 10.6 Snow Leopard. Cool. Okay. Okay, so now when we get real results now. With one vote, Linux, which would be included Fedora, CentOS, and Ubuntu. Cool.
Yeah.
The next runner-up is actually there's a tie.
There's a tie.
There is a tie between Windows XP and Apple OS 10.7 Lion, which I know someone who voted for Windows XP, and he's a liar. So.
He's a liar.
Yeah, he's a liar. So you know what? Windows XP loses by default.
Oh, snap!
And the winner is with 19 votes. A clear winner is Windows 7.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
No, but
Alright.
that's cool.
Yeah.
That I expected that. Like everyone.
Yeah.
Did that.
There are over 1 billion Windows PCs out there.
Yeah, so that makes complete sense. So yeah, that's it. So I mean, thank you for everyone who participated. That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
Thank you. We're probably going to do another post, another one that we were talking about for the storage solutions. Which one are you going to use, or do you trust cloud solutions. So we're gonna post that and look that up for our for future polls and stuff like that. Those polls are fun.
Yeah, they're fun.
So that's it. So Vinny, do you have a score update?
Score update, third period, 8 minutes to go, Rangers 2, Ottawa 1. 8 minutes to go. 8 minutes. That's in hockey, that's a lot of time.
That's a lot of time. That's a lot of, you can score 5 goals in 8 minutes, which are really crazy. Alright, cool. So that's it for this week. I'm Timothy Matthews.
I'm Vinny Masidi.
And keep it cool, Internet.
Stay classy. San Diego.
Copyright.